Chapter 5. Disaster Strikes. Frankie Byrne rubbed his tired eyes as he gripped the steering wheel of his fuel delivery truck, guiding it carefully through the pouring rain. The road gleamed dark and wet under his headlights, and the rhythmic drone of the wipers was almost hypnotic. He was tired. After this delivery, he'd finally head home to his worn-out armchair and a quiet weekend. It wasn't much, but it was all he had left. Once, Frankie had imagined a life beyond long hauls and empty miles, a life that didn't leave him estranged from his family and feeling like a stranger in his own home. He dreamed of owning a small mechanics shop, a steady 9 to 5. But that had been years ago, before the late hours, the strain of missed family occasions, and the fights that finally pushed his wife to leave. Now he barely saw his kids, their lives as distant as the roads he traveled. The road had become his escape. The lights of the plaza came into view ahead, a small beacon in the rainy night, and he flicked on his indicator, preparing to pull in for his final delivery. But as he approached, a strange shudder ran through the truck. His grip on the wheel tightened, and he pressed his foot down on the brake, only to feel the sickening give of a pedal that wasn't responding properly. The brakes were failing. The dashboard lit up like a Christmas tree, and the warning buzzer sounded. No, 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 no. Frankie muttered, panic flooding him as the truck continued to roll forward. His heart hammered as he yanked on the emergency brake, hoping it might slow him, but the truck barely responded. He was hauling a full tank of fuel, enough to turn the entire plaza into an inferno if anything went wrong. Desperation rising, he steered hard, trying to veer away, but the weight of the truck shoved him forward, toward the building. Inside the cafe, Isobel Tamsin glanced up from her coffee, her gaze drifting to the Rain Street windows. The glow of headlights caught her eye, growing larger and brighter as a truck sped toward the plaza. Something about its approach felt wrong. Her breath caught, her mind struggling to process what was happening. Then time stood still. The truck seemed to move in slow motion. She barely had a chance to react before the truck slammed into the side of the building. Isobel froze, dropping her coffee cup as the building rocked. The impact was deafening, the force of the crash rattling the walls and sending tables skidding across the floor. Sparks from the shattered lighting and exposed wires flickered against the darkness, casting erratic shadows across the dust-filled air. Shouts and gasps and screams echoed through the cafe as people staggered to regain their footing. Dust and shattered glass filled the air, the lights flickering in the wake of the collision. Then, for a brief moment, everything was frozen in stunned silence. The lights flickered one last time, casting an eerie glow over the wreckage, then plunged the building into thick, unbroken darkness. The hum of machinery ceased, leaving an unnerving quiet. Only the acrid smell of fuel lingered, the ominous, metallic taste of it in the air. The dull glow of the emergency lighting flicked on casting shadows across the wreckage. Isobel took a shaky breath, her mind racing. She had always thought of herself as the observer, the one who stood back and analyzed. But here, surrounded by strangers in the midst of disaster, she felt an unfamiliar wave of helplessness. "We're all about to die," she muttered, barely realizing she'd spoken out loud. The only sound was the steady drip of fuel, the faint groaning of the damaged building, and the occasional crackle of rain against the windows. Every creak of the ceiling felt like an ominous reminder of the weight pressing down on them, a warning of the delicate line they were walking between safety and catastrophe. Somewhere behind her, someone let out a shaky breath. The quiet, once comforting, had become a heavy, suffocating presence. The smell of gasoline filled her nostrils, thick and sharp, a constant reminder that every breath could be their last. And so they waited, trapped in silence, afraid to move, the weight of fear settling over them like a shroud.